Good evening. Welcome to the what date? What's the date? February 17th or February 7, 2011 edition of the Amelia Village Council. Appreciate everyone being here at this time. At this time, I would ask for we'll call the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. and ask for a roll call from the clerk or from the fiscal officer.
Derek is absent, obviously. Todd? Here. Renee?
Here.
Bob?
Here.
Tim?
Here.
Chuck?
Here.
Present.
Leroy?
Let's all stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I go any further, let me make sure my phone is turned off. I'm sorry. All right. First item on the agenda this evening is the approval of previous meeting minutes, and there are two sets here to be approved. The records show that the council has received their packets in advance of this meeting tonight and has had an opportunity to review the content. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the January 3rd, 2011 Amelia Village Council meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
The first and the second, any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Todd?
Yay.
Renee?
Yay.
Bob?
Yay.
Tim?
Yay.
Chuck?
Yay.
Thank you. Second set of minutes is for January 18, 2011. This time, I'm going to entertain a motion for approval of the minutes on this date. This is the meeting that, due to lack of quorum, there was no meeting held. It just basically states that.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Todd?
Yay.
Renee?
Yes.
Bob?
Yay.
Tim?
Yay.
Chuck?
Yay.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda this evening is we have a guest of council. We have Melissa McFerrin and Vinnie Mail of the Claremont County Boys and Girls Club. These two youths are taking part in the club's Youth of the Year competition, and both members will speak in front of council. Based on their speech and other information that was submitted previously to members of council, one will be chosen by council to move forward to compete in the county-wide competition. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Andy Baker. I think he's going to describe things a little bit in greater detail.
First of all, just thanks for letting us come in here and present our Youth of the Year to you this evening. Every year we have a competition, it's Youth of the Year competition. It's a way for us to showcase some of our most talented and gifted and just really good youth in our program. Unfortunately tonight, one of them was unable to make it, so Vinny was unable to make it. So the competition side of it has not quite kind of went away on that. But what I would like to do is still, Melissa would have the opportunity to give a speech to you. And when she goes on to the Claremont County Youth of the Year, she is going to have to provide a speech, and then she's going to get interviewed by our judges there. So if you have questions tonight, I'd like to kind of find out a little bit more about Melissa, I would please ask you to maybe ask some questions of her and things like that. Just really quickly, Melissa comes to us. She's from Glen Estee. She's been now a club member going on for 2 years, and she's at Glen Estee High School as a junior, and has really worked hard. This process, they put a packet together of all kinds of letters of recommendations, prepare a speech. She's been working on it since, about October? So for a while, putting all this whole process together. There's quite a process. There's scholarships involved at the county level, and then they get to, the county will choose a youth of the year that will go on to a state level, to where there's also scholarships provided there. and then they choose, it goes to the regional level, and then at the regional they get to go to national, and the National Youth of the Year for Boys and Girls Club of America actually gets installed in an Oval Office ceremony by the President of the United States. So the Youth of the Year program for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America is really probably one of our finest programs. It's really a way for us to showcase our youth. So I'll stop and let Melissa get up and give her speech. So at this moment, Melissa, if you'd like to stand up and give us our speech, thank you.
I was always told in school by my parents and even my peers that life is what you make out of it, so make it a good life. I always took this as, well, life will be easy and I won't have to worry about anything. Well, I shortly figured out that life is very hard and sometimes it pushes you down. But you have to believe that you can push yourself back up and do better than what you did before. And if you don't, then life will just run over you and you'll make nothing of yourself. I know I want to make something of myself. And I always dreamed big dreams. And people always told me, well, you'll never be able to live up to those dreams. Well, I want to be able to prove them wrong and show them that I can live up to those dreams. Hello, my name is Melissa McFerrin. I am currently a junior at Glen Estee High School, and I have been a member of the Boys and Girls Club. Sorry, I missed that. Oh, no, that's right. I've been a member of the Boys and Girls Club for about 2 years, and this is my story. When I was 5, I saw my family as a perfect family. We were close, and it felt like nothing could ever separate us. A few years passed, and I turned 8, and I figured out that our family wasn't so perfect. It seemed like my family was getting further away from each other. My dad was working a lot so we could get by. My sister always had her friends, and my brother always had his friends and games, and my mom was always out with her friend Wanda. And our family got so separated that it led to my mom and dad getting a divorce. Everything went downhill from there. My mom and brother and sister and I moved to Felicity, where we moved with my mom and her boyfriend Jeff. After 5 years of dating, she married Jeff, and my brother and I didn't go because we really didn't like Jeff. My dad was living with his girlfriend, so while we were in Felicity, it seemed like I was alone, and I had no one to lead me, or a positive leader. So I got into some bad habits, and I'd go over to my friend London's house, and we would go over to her friend's house, and we did what we thought was called fun. So this included making some bad choices, and I wasn't really on the good side either. So I moved in between my mom and dad's house for several years, and it was hard for me to do that. I really didn't like to live with my mom because her boyfriend Jeff was an alcoholic, and when he was drunk he got abusive to all of us. Sometimes it got so bad to where my dad would have to come get me, my brother, and my sisters. And when we couldn't go over there, we would go over to family cells like my grandma's and my aunts. When I got into 7th grade, my dad was looking for a better place for us to live. And he found a wonderful apartment in Amelia. So in the middle of the school year, we moved to the apartment, and my mom stayed with Jeff. When we moved there, we really didn't have nothing to do because we didn't make any friends. So me and my brother, we would walk around outside, and one day we were sitting at the park, and a group of teenagers came over, and we got to talking and became good friends. It seemed like they saved me from the bad choices I used to make because they helped me keep my mind on other things that were positive. And it's like I finally found my positive influence. Even though I managed to turn my life around, my brother was still getting in some trouble. So his probation officer thought it would be a good idea for him to go into a club or something after school to keep him from getting into trouble. So that's how me and my brother were introduced to the Boys and Girls Club. I wasn't happy about it at first, but after a while I started to like it. The first few weeks it seemed like I was just, one of the members, and I'd follow the schedule and do what all the other kids had to do. Then I was asked to help around the club. I would help wherever they needed help. Over the summer, the club was closed, and Over the summer, the club was closed, and when school started back up, the club reopened, and I was so excited. I couldn't wait to see the kids and the staff. It was like my home away from home. The kids and staff are so welcoming there. And after a week or so, I was helping in the club again. I got to sit behind the desk and answer the phones and welcome the parents and tell them any news that they would need for the parents to know. I'd also help in Power Hour and help the kids with their homework. And I would also count the pages that they would do and put them on a chart, and we would plan parties for the kids who did the homework. I'd also help out in the gym and watch and make sure that none of the kids got hurt, and I'd also sometimes get to play with them. The Boys and Girls Club has taught me responsibility, respect, leadership, and also got me thinking about my future. When I get out of high school, I plan to become a staff there at the Boys and Girls Club because I love it there so much. I have built a huge relationship with not only the staff, but with all the kids there too. I want to be a good example for the kids and be there for them so that way they have someone to talk to or if they need any advice. Nothing can replace the Boys and Girls Club in my life. It has filled a hole in my heart that was empty before. I never want to lose the Boys and Girls Club. That is how it has affected my life. And it has been a great privilege to represent the club because it means everything to me. Thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much, Melissa. I know it was a hard thing to do, and you did a remarkable job. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
There are a few things I'd like to review with council before we go to any further discussion. There's a few letters of recommendation that have been provided. I think you may have had them on your desk, but I'm just going to read a few pieces of those aloud so everyone can see the type of fiber that this young lady's made up. This is written from a staff member at West Claremont Institute of Performing Arts. Rarely does a teacher have the opportunity to come in contact with a student of Melissa's caliber. As the vocal music director for WASIPA, I have seen Melissa in many different settings, including being a singer in our school mixed chorus and concert choir. In addition, she has become a reliable part of our tech theater department through her work in Stagecraft 2 class. I've always found Melissa to be an outstanding musician and a fine young woman. As expected, she was always on time for rehearsals, actively participated in class, and had an excellent attendance record at our concerts. He goes on to say, I'm excited about Melissa's future and I look forward to watching her success and offers his assistance in any way in the future. Michael Trammell, Sunday school teacher, Victory Baptist Church in Batavia, writes just one quick line. What dedication, what desire, what compassion, what faith she has. What a joy it is to see God use a teenager like that. Final letter is, I'll read this one at its entire length, from Jamie Lautenschlager. Did I say it right? Is that for you? I ought to be put up for some kind of citizen of the year thing. Okay. This was letter was drafted by Jamie on Melissa's behalf. I'm writing on behalf of Melissa McFerrin for the Youth of the Year competition. Melissa is an outstanding club member and volunteer. When she first joined the Boys and Girls Club, we were excited to have another high school member in our club that would be a great role model for our younger kids. Melissa immediately filled that role. She got along with the older club members in the club and continued to interact with some of the younger club members as well. Melissa has a very calming personality, which is why I think the club members look up to her. She has lots of patience when working with the kids, which is a great talent to have. Melissa Without being asked, will help the staff in the club. I believe Melissa has a keen sense when it comes to finding out who needs help and with what, because she is always in the right place at the right time. She helps with Power Hour, which is a huge deal at our club. Melissa helps kids with homework, and she helps tally up Power Hour points. We serve 85 to 100 kids a day with only 5 staff, and it helps when we have others to help with tutoring our kids. Melissa plays a role in the success of our Power Hour program. Melissa is very professional and will also answer our phone when the staff is not available. She sits behind her desk and greets parents when they come in and give them updates on the club. Besides volunteering and helping the staff in the club, Melissa is a part of the Smart Girls and Torch Club. She's involved in helping to sell candy for a fundraiser in the Torch Club, and through Smart Girls has just started for the older girls. She was eager and excited to participate. When you think of someone who's selfless and eager to help, Melissa is that person. She's actively involved in the club and is always lending the staff a helping hand. That is why Melissa makes a great Youth of the Year candidate. Having heard your story, Melissa, just I can tell you that for me personally, I was moved, and I'm so very, very proud of you. You've found appropriate influence in people right here in the community, and it's only because you were brave enough to latch onto it. It would have been probably, in some cases easier to not take that road, so I'm very proud of you. Any discussion from council this evening?
I'd just like to really commend you, and I'm very proud too. I raised my kids, and I know how difficult it is with the boyfriends and girlfriends being tugged back and forth. It's horrible. And the only one that suffers are you guys. And for you to come out here, it just overwhelms me.
As you go on, always speak from your heart. Always. Because that's, don't say what you think people want to hear. Tell them what they need to hear. All right? Very good.
You're definitely on the right track. Keep going. Absolutely.
Anyone have anything else? Suppose I would entertain a motion from council requesting a nomination for Melissa McFerrin for Claremont County Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Todd,
Yes.
Renee,
Yay.
Bob,
Yay.
Tim,
Yay.
Chuck.
Yay.
That complete roll call? Apologies.
Yes.
I didn't hear the final yay. All right. Congratulations, you have our recommendation and nomination.
Don't make us proud. Come back and get us a good score.
Andy, you need me to fill out this paperwork officially and get it to you? Or you don't need anything from me?
No,
Okay.
you guys have done a great job. Thank you so much for allowing us to come in. So,
And before we go, Jamie, would you say your last name so I can find out how far off I was?
Lattenslager. You're close.
Latin Slager?
Lattenslager.
That wasn't terrible.
I've been with Jamie enough times to hear so many pronunciations of it.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Thank you guys for being here.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Come back and see us. Bring some Girl Scout cookies or something next time. I like those cookies. I don't care where they come from.
I'm going to buy some from the other club.
Bought some from the kid at the door. I haven't seen the cookies yet. Live on the memory, I guess.
Yeah, right.
All right. Get down to business. Next item on the agenda this evening is the mayor's report. This report is combined information from the information I had prepared for the last meeting that did not occur, and a few new updates. And so I'll take it from there. The mayor's report is presented today, Tuesday, February 7, 2011. Under the heading of meetings, I've been involved in several meetings and had correspondence with many people on behalf of Amelia Village since the last meeting, including, but not limited to, the following: Police Chief Super, representatives from Union Township Fire Department, Fiscal Officer Bill Gilpin, Village Solicitor Laura Abrams, Pat Madel from CDS Engineering, Vice Mayor Tim Rosser, when he was still Vice Mayor, that was a typographical error. Village staff and police personnel, as well as village residents. Under the heading of zoning, we continue to struggle to stay on top of zoning issues within the village. The current staffing levels and workload is all we can do to keep up with responding to resident complaints and questions. We are basically putting out fires. There's no opportunity to engage in proactive enforcement. And I'm just of the opinion that this is going to be a problem that's going to grow and grow and grow until we can get a handle on it. And even once we start some sort of enforcement, it's going to be a long road to get it going in the right direction. Committee ideas. At the last meeting, there was a discussion from the council regarding two possible committees: a Main Street Business Development Committee and a Main Street Recreation Committee. Julie's waiting for verbiage from council, and I think it was specifically Derek, before she places it on the website. So with Derek not here tonight, we'll revisit that with him. Under the heading of policy and procedure manuals, Laura's been working very hard at incorporating 6 years of ordinances passed, either new or revised, into the existing handbook. The task is now complete, and the current handbook that employees have is the most up-to-date version available. There are some revised policies that have not been implemented completely as of yet, but that is currently in progress. Now that the manual is up to date, Chief, Laura, Bill, and myself will be meeting to discuss further updates and revisions going forward. The big issue was that there had been so many ordinances revised and updated over the years, but just had never even been incorporated into the hard copy book, the manual, and so it was very distorted for any employee to know what the appropriate policies were on some subjects. As I understand it, this was a large undertaking because since 2004, new revisions had not been incorporated into the working manual. United Methodist Youth Minister, Chief Super, and I met with Jeff Hughes, the new youth minister at United Methodist Church. He was looking for feedback on the needs of the youth in Amelia Village. He's looking to connect with area youth and is seeking feedback and advice. If you have any ideas, either send it to me or send it to him at the church. We did, of course, recommend that he stop by Grace and Mercy Outreach Center and the Boys and Girls Club. In your packets tonight, under the heading of CDS meeting review, in your packets tonight and in your email tonight, you'll find the minutes from a meeting that I attended with Pat Madel and Don Javegda regarding an engineering task list for 2011. Just give you an idea of the things that we discussed. Let me find that report. I'll just review these with you quickly. First thing that we talked about was a development site zoning review fee. A development site and zoning review fee review. An example of subdivision regulations with escrow-based review fee structures was given to me for review as a potential update to the existing fee-based review costs for development. And you'll see on the side here it says the next action is to be taken by me, and that is to my first step is to talk with Laura about her experience with this kind of a process and see where we go from there. And from there, we'll probably move to some discussion on planning, and then ultimately the council, if there are suggestions are made. The Church Street SCIP application. a couple of years ago, we were awarded a grant for repair of Church Street. And at that time, we were unable to make the commitment to have the funds necessary available to make the matching funds. It was roughly a $700,000 project. Our commitment would have been in the roughly $70,000. We were unable to make that commitment at that time. We are revisiting this project, looking for new monies and grant opportunities, and et cetera. Klein Avenue, there's a signal upgrade process that we're working on. That intersection really should be a four-way intersection, because you've got where the Grace and Mercy Outreach areas, there's no traffic signal on that side, and the lights are very old, and there's a review on we're going to look into some funding sources for trying to get those taken care of. Village Street inventory rating. Initial information will be reviewed to determine a preliminary scope and magnitude of engineering fee, with information being provided to the village. This is basically coming up with a plan to keep village streets appropriate and safe. And the first step in that is CDS has an employee who specializes just in this kind of project, and he's going to work with Rick Rowland, our public works person, and try to set up a protocol. It's some discussion about Main Street parking and access points on Main Street being an important and critical factor for the future of the village. We had a couple of monthly status reports that hadn't been sent over, so they've been sent over now. So if you want to see status reports with regard to engineering services, just let me know. We've got them all ready for you. A while back, I was approached by the folks at Amelia Crossings. They lie within the village. If you turn right off of 125 onto Amelia Olive Branch, you're not in the village at that point. But when that property became a part of the village, it was annexed in because it was touching on the back side, on the Lorry Lane side. And that complex houses, I want to say it's between 60 and 70 senior citizens. And it's part of their therapy, and of course they would like to exercise, and they'd like to take a walk up to the pill box or BP, and they had originally contacted me about wanting a street light because they had no street light. We got that taken care of. Now they're asking for some assistance. They'd love to have a sidewalk. So I've asked CDS to contact, because that's Batavia Township, and I made a preliminary contact with Batavia Township. They sounded as though they'd be interested in collaborating with us on that. And so we're just beginning the discussion phase on that. We're going to look for some grant monies that address the need of seniors to get to and from places. And so there are programs available to make sure that kids have sidewalks to walk to school. So there very well could be some monies available for programs where looking for seniors to be able to make sure they can get access to what they need to get access to. So we're looking into it. I also relayed to CDS Council's interest that was set forth at the first meeting of 2011 regarding the development of a downtown business district and the economic development of SAD. And of course, they have a whole room full of experts that would like to offer some support. There's no action being taken on that, but I just made them aware of the fact that that's something that council had asked about. So that's really all just for you to chew on. There's not a whole lot of action taking place right now. The bottom line is, in most of these cases, we're seeking third-party funding of some sort to try to get some things done. Any questions on that before I move on? All right. This last piece of my report is really, I just added it before I came in here, and it's a bit of commentary from me, not only as the mayor, but as a citizen here in the village. And I wanted it, it's important to me that this be on the record, expressing this concern. So I'll take a minute and just read this and open the floor to council if they have anything to discuss, although I don't know that there is anything to discuss except just to have the knowledge. Last week, I happened to be the witness to an incident that brought to reality for me the officer safety concerns brought about by only one APD officer being on duty. While visiting Walgreens, I witnessed a very suspicious, scary, and potentially dangerous situation. Two young men were helping another to stand and attempting to wake him up. It was freezing cold outside. They were pouring water on him, slapping him in the face and about the head, trying to revive him. It appeared to me that the young man was suffering from some sort of a drug reaction. His eyes were rolled back in his head. He was very, very pale. His friends were actually angry at him and yelling at him, "Come on, wake up." I called UT Dispatch to describe the situation. Dispatch promptly sent the call for the squad. In the meantime, an Amelia police officer responded within less than 2 minutes, very quickly. He was alone. He approached the car cautiously, and as I sat and watched, I thought to myself, this is a classic case of why we need 2 officers per shift. The officer was Officer Merle, and he's here this evening. The rest of what I'm going to read, I didn't engage. I engaged Officer Merle at one point just to tell him what I saw, but mostly I just wanted to stay out of the way, and I sat there and watched because I was actually kind of worried about the situation. So, if Officer Merle, well, he may not be able to speak about it, but this is what I thought I saw. Okay? I've had no official discussion with anybody about it. Officer Merle arrived very quickly. He approached the car cautiously, and as I sat and watched, I thought to myself, this is a classic case of why we need 2 officers per shift. Officer Merle handled the situation with appropriate caution, but from where I sat, it was clear to me he was uneasy. The sick man was flailing around and banging his head on the window. The other 2 men were walking around in circles near Officer Merle, smoking a cigarette and just sort of walking around. And in the meantime, from where I sat, it looked as though Officer Merle was trying to ask questions of relevance. Within 5 or 6 minutes, a Union Township Fire Squad arrived and attempted to work with the sick man, but he was combative, and I can only assume that it was determined to wait for additional backup to attempt treatment because both men in the squad got back in their unit for warmth. It was freezing. In the meantime, Officer Merle corralled the men present and put them all in the car where they could be contained. Again, this is just me watching. Maybe 10 or 12 minutes later, a Claremont County Sheriff arrived, followed almost immediately by a Pierce Township officer. In my opinion, that 10 to 12 minute time delay, in that time, 10 to 12 minutes, almost anything could have happened. Thankfully, it did not. But as a citizen and as the mayor, I felt uneasy about the situation that our officer was exposed to. Other than having called dispatch, I was not involved as a witness, not on the record, but I did stay and watch and sat and watched. I'm not sure if my assessment of what I saw is actually what occurred. That's what I sat and watched. It just didn't look good to me, and it really brought to light the circumstances that our officers were placed in. And I honestly just wanted to be on the record that we all know that our citizens did not support the last police levy. And that having seen that and witnessed it with my own 2 eyes, the shortage that we have in police staff and personnel right now is of increasing concern to me. And I don't know that there's any action to be taken, anything to be said, except that's what I saw. And I can tell you that it didn't make me feel good about the way we send our officers out there to do a very hard job. I don't have anything else on my mayor's report. Anybody's welcome to comment on that if they like.
Well, you did all you could do as a civilian.
Yeah. And mostly, I just wanted to stay out of the way. but
That's
just
something otherwise.
watching it, and I don't know if I'm accurate in what I described.
You're pretty good. You're about 99%.
From what I was watching, I'm just thinking to myself, I felt like one of those guys could have blindsided him at any time before he got him corralled into the car. I don't know what there was a third-party chemical involved there somewhere, I can tell you that.
Did you stay long enough to see what the actual result was? Like
No,
the squad?
once the squad was there and once I saw the sheriffs there, I left.
Oh, I see.
I left. I saw that he had enough support to see to it that the man got care. I'm not sure what happened. Nonetheless, I just wanted that on the record. That's really more commentary than anything, but I wanted it in the mayor's report. It's something I think is a shortfall we have ahead. Police Chief Sucre, I don't think he's here tonight. His back is out. Called me early this morning and said he was in extreme pain and laying on a heating pad, and that's more information than I should have told you already. He's just not going to be here tonight. Fire department report. They'll be here for the second meeting of the month.